Now we're live. Welcome to Hump Hangout today on December 28th, 2022. It's the last episode of 2022, and it's episode 424 today. I'm super happy to be here. I hope everyone had good holidays and spent some good time with the family and stuff. And obviously also survived the storm. First couple storms were in the United States. Here it was super warm. Up to 15 degrees, so like about 52 Fahrenheit, I guess, which is unusual warm in Austria. I had a really good time with the family, as usual, just meeting everyone. Also met my nephew for the first time, so quite happy about that as well. And yeah, things are pretty good. How are you today, Bradley?
Busy. I'm glad to be here, though. This is the last Hump Day Hangout of 2022. Happy to be here. I'm excited about today because as soon as we're done with this Hump Day Hangout, I'm headed out for a 4-day weekend. I'm going off the grid. Well, I will still try to reply to messages in the morning for 1 hour each day, but that's the extent of it. I'm going to unplug outside of that hour. I'm off the grid for the next 4 days so I can kind of plan for 2023 and some much needed break. I was talking about, we had a build with Bradley group meeting earlier today. And I was telling the guys there, I was like, man, this entire year, 2022 has been a great year for my business, for us at Semantic Mastery. But I've put the work in. I've put in almost 14-hour days, 12, and I work 12 days on, 2 days off, 12 days on, 2 days off. And I do that because I get my daughter every other weekend. And when I have her, it's her time. So I take off and spend it with her. But other than that, I've been working nonstop. And I start my work day at 6 a.m. every day. And then I don't stop working until 8 p.m. And I only eat one meal a day, and it only takes me 20 to 30 minutes to eat. So literally, I'm working almost 14 hours every single day, 12 days on, 2 days off. So anyway, I've only taken off 3 times this entire year. So I need a fucking break. That's what I'm getting at. I'm really looking forward to taking off the next few days to kind of plan for next year, get prepared to start a sprint in January. The first week in January, I'm going to be doing a whole bunch of new stuff. One of the things I've talked about, guys, is I'm going to be streaming on twitch.tv/Bradley Benner. I'm going to be live streaming there. I don't know if I'm going to do it every day or Tuesdays and Thursdays or Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays or what. I haven't decided yet until I start doing it. Once I start doing it, I'll determine what schedule I want to keep. But I'm going to be doing it often and regularly to where I'll be streaming for like 60 to 90 minutes per day. And just kind of doing what I do for my businesses. But one of the first kind of focuses of 2023 that is basically a sprint for 2023, January 2023, is I'm going to be doing the rank and rent SEO model. Basically, what I call rank and rent mastery, which is a model that I've been working on for months. And I want to go through the entire process and stream it live, like everything. So again, I don't expect everybody to watch that shit because it's just raw footage, but we will take that raw footage and send it to a video editor and have them condense it down into where it'll be much shorter form content that'll be very valuable stuff that we can use for training or for marketing or whatever. That will go on our YouTube channel. The raw footage will be on Twitch. But just telling you guys that because, you know, that's part of the reason I'm taking off for the next few days is to kind of prepare for what I'm going to be doing in January. Give me a couple of days to kind of think it through and plan out develop a plan and everything. But if anybody's interested in that, it's a model that I'm going to be pushing hard on all next year, which is expanding my lead gen business, but doing it in a way that isn't reliant on Google Business Assets. So that's what I'm going to be doing in January. I would encourage you guys to come follow along or check in from time to time anyway. And, if you follow what I'm doing, you should be able to build a business within the first quarter of 2023 that is generating revenue for you, consistent monthly recurring revenue. So I'm not
sure everybody can keep up with your momentum. So everybody has to build momentum and stuff, obviously. But just watch it and keep going and build up the momentum. As I said, I also posted the link in the chat, so in case you missed it, you can click there. The other thing that I wanted to mention, Bradley is already off the grid almost. I'm still reviewing 2022. And basically tomorrow I'm going to do like a perfect day exercise. So if you've never done that, I highly recommend you do it. Map out the perfect day for 2023 for you, or even like a future version. Always interesting. And if you don't know what questions to look into, there's like an old Frank Kern video from the core influence. I think you can find it somewhere on YouTube. I think 2 hours is long, but like the key part is in the end, like the last hour. I highly recommend you do this exercise because it's like kind of writing your own advertisement. So you buy into your dream and you basically get motivated to do your goals and make your dreams reality in 2023. Aside from that, obviously we also have like the mastermind going on. I highly recommend you join. If you're not ever looked into the mastermind, now is a really good time to check it out. And personally, I would make it part of my sprint for the first quarter in 2023, especially like Bradley has a couple of really good things planned. And yeah, I also posted the link to join. So if you want to, I recommend you check it out. We have a really good deal on the quarterly offer right now. So you basically get 1 month for free if you join the quarterly offer. So you basically pay for 2 months and you get 3 months. So unbeatable almost. Anything else you can say or like tease on the mastermind? What is coming up?
The only other thing is I just released on Monday this week the rank and rent SEO local site template that I had developed in WordPress. I provided a clone file and the Elementor templates and all of that, which is going to be what I'm going to be using for the rank and rent sprint that I'm going to be doing next month. It's something that I spent, I don't know, several weeks kind of developing out a site structure that turns out works really well. It was originally introduced to me on as a high level website. But high level websites suck for SEO. They're awful. They're terrible for SEO purposes because there's so much bloated code. They don't rank well. They don't perform well. So I duplicated that in WordPress and using Elementor, and I had my site build team do it for me because I don't like building sites. But anyways, it's a template that I just released, and it's a really good template for building the more permanent asset for areas that you want to do rank and rent SEO in. So in other words, the process that I'm going to be going through next month is it's going to be start to finish the entire process, like how to research a niche or an industry to determine if it's viable. Like, so that, because the way that I teach this is select one industry and you go hard into that one industry. So I'm going to go through the process of researching an industry, determine if it's profitable, if it's viable. Then once you've selected an industry, then to do keyword research and discovery. Then after you do keyword research and discovery and identify keywords that can rank fairly easily, then we build out the assets, quick ranking assets. So Web 2.0s, high authority profiles, those kind of things. And I'm going to show how to do that manually. Then I'm going to show how to do it in an automated way, which is really the way that I want to do it. I'm only going to do it manually so that other people that don't have access to the tools or the budget for those can still do this and still build momentum, as Chris said. But then after the initial kind of assets are built, the quick ranking stuff, then we go in and build after we've proven that we can rank in those for those keywords and locations. Then we go to monetize it. And once we find somebody to, a contractor or a business, whatever, to either rent the assets or to purchase the leads, depending on how you monetize. It's called rank and rent SEO for a reason, because I really want to stick to just the rank and rent side of it instead of lead gen or pay per lead, because it's a little bit easier to manage. But once you've monetized those assets, then you go in and build a more permanent asset, which would be a typical website. And that's where the template that I've developed comes into play, because it's very powerful when done right, as well as when you combine it with the Web 2 assets and what I call content mirroring. So I'm going to go through that entire process. So again, joining the mastermind, as Chris just said, will give you access to some of the tools, additional training, some of the additional resources that you can only get in the mastermind. I'm still going to show them in the Twitch live streams, but you only be able to access them if you're part of the mastermind. So come follow along, check it out anyways. And when you get to the point where you need it or you're ready for it, come join us and you'll get access to the additional resources.
Sweet. Obviously, there are tons of SOPs and working procedures and stuff as well, which are always my favorite. Most underrated thing and basically value to start and like build a business. And yeah, happy asset building, I would say, in first quarter. Nigel has already a question about the Twitch. Do you know about approximately the time when you will go live on Twitch, or like is there some other notification than subscribing to your channel?
It'll be early mornings, like early mornings, Eastern Standard Time. Probably between, as far as I know, it's probably going to be the first thing I do in the mornings. So probably between 6 and 7 a.m. or 6 and 7:30 a.m. Because like I said, I start my workday at 6 a.m. and I want to get that stuff done right off the bat, because as the day progresses and more normal working hours occur, then I start getting hammered with support requests and messages on Facebook and, you know, tickets for my link building business or any one of the businesses. So the point I'm trying to make is I'm going to probably be doing it early morning before everyone else is awake. That way I can get it done without being distracted. If I try to do it anytime later throughout the day, you know, there's always fires to put out, right? We're always playing whack-a-mole all day long, which is normal for every business owner, not just me, right? All of you guys know what I'm talking about. So if I get it done first thing in the morning, it's a non-negotiable, right? It's like going to the gym, right? Get up, you knock that shit. Or if you ever read the book by Brian Tracy called Eat That Frog, it's like you get the biggest like obstacle done first thing in the morning, right? Because then the rest of the day becomes easier. And so I want to do that with the live stream. Again, I don't know if I'm going to do it daily, Tuesdays and Thursdays, or Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays. I haven't determined that yet. Until I start doing it, I won't know. But I'm probably going to be doing it first thing in the morning.
So around 3 to 4 a.m. for Pacific people.
Yeah. Yeah, for you late folk, early folk. I don't know.
Perfect for Europeans.
Yeah.
Anyways, I think we can go actually directly to questions.
All right, I'm going to jump in then. I'm not even going to grab the screen because we don't have anything to look at just yet. Oh, I am going to grab the screen for a minute because Chris, you mentioned this. This is a book. You said The Perfect Day. This is a pretty good book by Craig Ballantyne. You can get it on Kindle or Amazon for very cheap. There's also, he has a landing page, perfectdayformula.com, where I guess you can sign up, probably like free plus shipping or whatever. Maybe you can get it for PDF, whatever. I've read this book twice. It's a pretty good book. So, you know, you don't need this. You could probably find out, just go to YouTube and probably look it up and Perfect Day Formula and get a synopsis or Reader's Digest version of it. But if you're interested, this is a pretty good book. I've read it a couple of times. So, all right, let's get into questions. We had some pre-posted questions as well, so I'm going to jump into those. And Chris, you said there's a couple. Can we get Nigel says, can we get a reminder notice for live stream? Well, once I get started, Nigel, and I decide what my schedule is going to be, you can just create a calendar event. I'm new to Twitch. I haven't streamed yet at all. All I did was add some graphics, set up my profile and add some graphics. So once I get started on all that, I'll figure it out. There's got to be a way to do notifications of some sort. I'll figure all that out once I get started. So, okay. All right, guys, pre-posted questions. I'm going to start with Robert from last week. There's a couple I think we didn't get to last week, if I'm correct. So I'm going to go ahead because I know we went a little bit late last week. So I'm going to start with Robert's question. It says, hey, Bradley, thanks for everything you share. In your opinion, what do you think is the best way to utilize YACSS, which is yet another cloud stacking software for local? What is the best way to create pages with map embeds? So the way that I use YACSS is I just do mostly branded pages. What I mean by that is I will add all of the NAP details in the footer area. YACSS is a software that creates HTML cloud pages or HTML pages that can be hosted on cloud storage hosts. For those of you that don't know what I'm talking about. But anyway, what I'm talking about is I do mostly branded pages. So like, for example, if there's a top of silo page, like a top level product or service page, we'll create a cloud page. And so let's say there's for a particular project that I'm working on, a website, a Google business project. Let's say there's 5 primary services. There's going to be 5 service pages, right? So what we will, and then there's the home page. So generally what we'll do is we'll create a cloud page that links to the home page, which is more like a brand page. Also, I use YACSS now to build my ID pages. For those of you that know what I'm talking about, an ID page is part of schema, but we've always done it with Amazon S3 buckets anyways, HTML hosted page and an Amazon S3 bucket. But we always use kind of a basic template, HTML template. And now I use YACSS for that because it's perfect for creating ID pages as well. Anyway, we'll do one for the brand. The way that I do it, okay, which is different than the way that Jesper teaches in his group. I do it my own specific way, which is I'll do a brand page, host it on one cloud host. Then I'll do a separate cloud page for each top level product or service page. And each one of those subsequent cloud pages are going to be hosted on a different cloud host. So there's diversity, right? And like I said, every one of those are typically branded. Occasionally I will do a cloud page that is not branded, which means I strip out of the NAP, name, address, and phone number, the branding stuff, and make it more like a generic article that then links to whatever I want to link to. But for the most part, I do branded pages. Does that make sense? And then I build topically relevant links to those cloud pages. And that's the way that I do it. That's what I call a cloud stack. A cloud stack is a cloud page with topically relevant links pointing to that page. So you push topical relevance, and the measure of that is topical, trust flow, and majestic. And that's what I use as a indication of, relevance and what kind of power I'm pushing, if that makes sense. So that's how I do it. When you say what is the best way to create pages with map embeds? Well, if you're doing branded pages, you can just embed the Google Business Map in the My Map field. There's a field in there that's labeled for My Map, but you can just take the Google Business Map embed code, not the embed code, but you take the URL out of between the quotes and SRC equals, and then there's quotes in the embed code. Let me just demonstrate what I mean, guys. I'm going to grab the screen for just a moment. Let's just go look at I'm just going to grab home services. Let's go with that. Go into the Google Map. You're going to copy the embed code. So share, embed map, copy HTML. I'm going to open up a notepad file. We're going to paste that embed code in. And this is how you embed a Google Business Map into a YACSS page. All you do is you take the URL between the quotes after SRC or source equals, between the quotes, that long URL right there. That's what you use to put into that My Map field in YACSS, and that will embed the Google Business Map into the bottom of the YACSS page. Does that make sense? So that's what I do. Again, if you're doing branded pages, that's the simplest way to do it. Now, there's a few different things. If you're in Jesper's mastermind group, Dimitri did which is one of the members, he did a webinar in the Jesper's mastermind group about how he's using YACSS subdomain pages. Like he creates a subdomain page for each like geo page that he would want to publish on the main website. So he has a geo page on I can't reveal the whole strategy here, guys, but it's brilliant what he's doing. I've not tested it yet, though. I've been wanting to, but I just haven't had the time to. But you build geo pages on the main website, and then you build YACSS subdomain pages for for each city page that you have on the main website. You build a subdomain with the city name as the subdomain on the root domain, and you deploy one of these cloud pages that's optimized for that specific city onto that city subdomain. Right. So you can just download the HTML file from YACSS and then upload it to a subdomain on your server for the subdomain of your root domain, if that makes sense. And then he puts, I think, a redirect in the subdomain page that goes to the cloud, the main page on the money site, the location page on the money site. And the results that he showed in the webinar were fabulous. Again, I've not tested it. I've been wanting to do it, but I have not. And I left a lot out there, guys. Obviously, I'm not going to reveal that strategy, but why I'm telling you this is join Jesper's mastermind and you'll get the training. It was really, really good. I was really impressed with what he's been able to do with that. Again, I've not yet tested that. I've been doing mostly, like I mentioned before, which is building cloud pages and then just building topically relevant links to them. And it's powerful. It's another way that you can add kind of a buffer between link building activities and your money site, but still push a lot of power because you can do embeds in the money or in the YACSS page. So like you can not only just link to its corresponding page on the money site, but you can also do an embed, right? You can embed the money site page into the corresponding YACSS page. So there's a lot that you can do with it is what I'm saying. Okay. Anyway, hopefully that was helpful. Next. How do you create a new business.site in Chrome? I know how to edit a current listing like you showed, but how do you make a new one? According to several people that I've chatted with right now, if it's not already published, you cannot add or create a new Google Business website. So I don't know if it's being deprecated and that's why it's inaccessible now within the Google Business profile, or if it's just a bug because Google's making some changes and it will return. I don't know that. Everybody's instantly going to, oh, they must be deprecating it. They must be doing away with Google Business websites. Maybe they are, but I don't know that yet. And until I see some official documentation on that, I can assume that they're doing away with it, but we don't know yet. It could just be a bug because they're making some changes. That happens. You guys have done any kind of work in Google Business profiles for any amount of time. You know that whenever Google starts to make changes, all kinds of weird shit happens, and it can last for weeks. And then eventually it gets resolved. So I don't know. Maybe it's just a bug because they're doing away with the Google Business Profile Manager, like the old dashboard area. Maybe that's why. I don't know. But right now, from what I understand, unless you already have one published, you cannot publish a new Google Business website. So again, I don't know if that's permanent or if that's just a temporary thing. If it is permanent, then we will make adjustments. It was great to use it when we had it, but if Google takes it away from us, so be it. We just move on, we evolve, we find other ways, right? I had the call I had earlier with our mini mastermind, a subgroup of our mastermind is called Build with Bradley. We do a Zoom meeting every 2 weeks for an hour. So it's like a discussion group. We were talking about this earlier, and for many years before we really started using the Google Business website, well, before it was really available, the G site, so sites, Google Sites or sites.google.com was like the primary focal point of what we did at Semantic Mastery. It's still a critical component, an integral part of what we do, but I had shifted a lot of the focus away from, or transferred some of the focus away from the G site to the Google Business website. So what I'm saying is if it is permanent and that's gone and we no longer have the ability to create them, then we kind of shift back to using the Google site. It's not quite the same because it's not intertwined with the Google Business profile, but you can make it so that it is, that it's part of the Google account, if that makes sense. So again, if that is the case where we don't have the access to it, if Google's taking that away from us, we will adjust, and I'll provide some training on that, and our methods will evolve. So it is what it is. We have to change, guys. When Google makes changes, we have to change too. Next question. This one's from John. He says, do you have any good ways of getting reviews for clients besides just having them ask or sending them a link? Nope, I don't. I'm sorry. And by the way, I do not recommend getting fake reviews right now at all. In October, the Federal Trade Commission in the United States started on a rampage of filing suits against all kinds of companies that they discovered were, buying fake reviews. So be very, very, very careful about that. What I recommend is just don't do it, because right now you could really land yourself in a lot of trouble, both legally and financially, if you are posting fake reviews. So don't do that. The best thing you can do is just ask your clients, set up some sort of a review generation system so that it's automated and that it sends out multiple reminders, both email and or text messages to the clients or customers to try to get reviews. There's a few services. Some of our mastermind members are using BirdEye, and I've got some contractor clients that use BirdEye that say it's fabulous. They just love it to death. I'm using a high-level snapshot called GHL Smart Reviews. That's what I use for my tree service contractors to generate reviews, and that works really well. What I like about that is you pay for the snapshot one time, and then you pay for high level, whatever subscription level you have at high level. But you can add as many sub-accounts. If you have an agency account in high level, it's $297 a month. And you can add as many sub-accounts, one sub-account per client or per client location. You can add as many as you want, and there's no additional charge. So with what I do for review generation is I bought a snapshot called GHL Smart Reviews, and I think I paid $600 for it. But it's scalable, right? I don't have any additional charge. Like BirdEye, I think charges like $50 a month or $40 a month or something like that for each location that you add. It's very inexpensive, but I'm just saying, like, I like the high level snapshot because I can add 100 clients and it's not going to my costs don't go up, is what I'm saying. So anyways, use some sort of a system. I just mentioned BirdEye and high level because those are the two that I use, but there's so many different review generation services out there or apps that you can use. The point is just get something in place so that it's automatic and it's consistent. Okay. Moving on. This one is from Crumb. He says, happy Christmas, holidays, SM. Quick GMB question. I made 3 posts a few weeks ago. They show in the side panel on the brand searches and in the Google Maps, but not showing on the business.site page. Is that normal? It is now, only because, just as described in the previous question, there's changes going on right now. And yes, that is across the board. I haven't seen any Google business posts published after December 12th, just so you know. Now you can force it. One of our mastermind members actually just, I think it was just this morning, or it might've been yesterday, published a trick to get the Google business post to appear on the Google business site. If you have access to edit the Google business website, you can go into the Google business website editor and click the publish button in the top right corner. And it will refresh and show those posts that you've published that are not currently appearing on the GB website, right? So it's a hack. You got to manually go in and click the publish button, and then it will refresh and all those posts will start to display. So obviously that's not something that's that you want to do, regularly. And again, it could be part of it. Maybe Google is doing away with the Google business website. It's a possibility. And maybe that's why they're not showing. You have to go in and manually refresh the site in order for it to show. So obviously, if you're doing a bunch of client work, that's not something you're going to want to do, which is why I said continue publishing posts. But as far as being able to use them for SEO purposes and link building the way that we have been, that might be a thing of the past. I don't know yet. Well, we will know once Google makes the official announcement, right? If they make an official announcement, maybe they don't, but we'll adjust. In the meantime, yeah, if you're not seeing your Google business posts on your the GB website, you can go into the editor, click the publish button in the top right corner, and it should refresh. You should see them, but obviously that's not sustainable, especially if you're dealing with, a lot of clients. So again, guys, more information will come as I find out. Next question is from Wendy. What tools are you using to track keywords for your sites and your clients? Looking for something free or inexpensive for my agency. Use Datastudio for now for high-level reporting, but also wanting to easily track important keywords as well. I'll be honest, I only use one service, and that is Bright Local. Now, I do have one other one that I bought an AppSumo deal called, what the hell is it called? Stand by. SERPwatch. I got one that's called SERPwatch.io, but I bought it as an AppSumo deal a long time ago. So it probably has a monthly expense now. I'm sure it does. But I use that for projects that do not have Google business assets. When I'm tracking organic keywords only, then I use SERPwatch. But if it has a Google business asset associated with the project, then everything I do is in Bright Local. I've been using Bright Local since like 2013, like a long time. So I'm pretty much married to it. But Bright Local is fairly inexpensive. And I mean, it's good. If you're running an agency though, I know you said preferably free. The question was looking for something free or inexpensive for my agency. My thoughts on that are this. Look, if you're running an agency, you've got money coming in. You can pay for rank tracking, right? It's inexpensive enough that's just the cost of doing business, right? The cost to track keyword ranking for clients is so negligible, it shouldn't be an issue. Just pay for it. You know what I mean? It's inexpensive enough that you shouldn't, if you said it's for your agency, which means you have clients. If you have clients, you've got retainer money coming in, just pay for rank tracking. Bright Local is the best for local projects, in my opinion. Again, there's other apps out there that will do something similar, guys. It doesn't have to be Bright Local. That's just what I use. Okay. Next question, George H says, what moment in your agency did you start to become more profitable? Till now, I've invested almost all back into the business and been working hard to gradually grow my client base, but still not making much profits. Second year into the business, would appreciate any help or ideas to get to a better place. That's a good question. Number one is increase your prices, right? So you have bigger margins. That's one of them. If you're providing good results for your clients, there's no reason that you can't. Maybe you don't go increase the prices for existing clients, but you can always raise your prices for new clients that are so raise your prices now. And when you bring on new clients, they pay a higher retainer fee, right? If you've got 2 years experience now, you should be charging a lot more now than you were 2 years ago. That's for sure. Does that make sense? So again, I've got grandfathered clients that I have not raised their retainer fee in years. And so you guys would be ashamed of me if I told you some of my clients what they're paying me. But that's because they're almost like on autopilot. I really have very little work to do other than reporting and an occasional kind of maintenance stuff. But for that, it's very inexpensive. But, you know, I've raised my rates over the years. Also think about other services that you could add. Now, I'm not trying to add more complexity to your business. So certainly not, it's not that, but you can always upsell or cross-sell additional products or services to your existing clients. Think about this, guys. The hardest, most expensive client to secure is a new one. Do you understand? That is the most expensive kind of client to secure, is a new one, because you have to spend time, energy, and money on prospecting and going sales presentations and, you know, your pitches and all that kind of stuff to try to land a client. Existing clients, they already know, like, and trust you. They're already paying you. So the easiest way to generate more revenue is to provide additional products or services to your existing clients. Does that make sense? So for example, if you're just doing Google Business SEO, and I'm just using that as an example, you could add other services on there, like review building, reputation building, review building services, which we just discussed or just talked about earlier in an earlier question. So that's one of them. You could add reputation building services, right? You could add, you know, press releases or additional content services. You could do social media posts. I don't know what kind of businesses you deal with, but in the industries that I work in for my agency, which are contractors or almost exclusively tree service contractors, social media marketing does not really work for them. So it's not something I would offer, but maybe you're in an industry where you could. You could also offer PPC services, pay-per-click services, right? Or YouTube, video marketing. You could do video SEO or video ads. I think video ads is a lot more scalable. That's another service that you can do that's very easy to manage once you learn how to set up and optimize YouTube ads. I do a lot of YouTube ads for local clients, but we call them branding campaigns. They're indirect lead generation campaigns. I just call them branding campaigns, but it's a great source of revenue. It's very easy to maintain. It's not a huge source of revenue, but it's a nice, consistent stream of additional revenue from all my clients that have added that as an add-on or purchased that as an add-on service, right? So those are all kinds of things that you can do. Raise your rates. Go after, you know, I talk about this often, but I deal with tree service contractors. That's my chosen industry for SEO services. And I'm on the lower end of the retainer scale. My average tree contractor pays me $1,000 a month. That's fairly low. The average, the industry standard for local SEOs is about $1,500 a month, average retainer. So I'm on the low end of that, $1,000 a month. But you know, I've got a good system in place that works. It's repeatable. It's scalable because I've already done it so many times for so many years. So that's why I'm able to do that. But what I'm saying is you can, and I'm also in an industry where the contractors are like tree service companies are generally very small. They're usually like mom and pop operations. The owner is also a tree guy out there working, running the crews. Generally it's a one crew operation, sometimes maybe 2 or 3 crews. But they're smaller operations, so I charge less. But what I'm saying is you could always go to a bigger type of client, like bigger organizations, bigger companies that have bigger budgets. So that's another way you could do it, right? So instead of dealing with the lower kind of paying smaller operations, you could increase target, you know, market or offer your services to bigger companies that you can charge a higher retainer fee for. And oftentimes, by the way, those bigger companies are oftentimes easier to work with than the smaller companies because they have bigger budgets. They don't SERP watch, as we call it, right? They don't contact you every time they lose their position changes in Google search, you know, in the search results. They don't call you every time like, hey, we used to be #1, now we're #2. What's going on? You know, the smaller, lower paying clients, they generally are the ones that require the most handholding and support, right? So just keep that in mind. There's a number of things you can do, but I would say the best thing to do is upsell or cross-sell to existing customers first. Also raise your rates going forward. It's about the best I can offer right now. Next question is from Delroy. Oh, what's up, Delroy? He's we've chatted via other avenues. How do you determine which topical category makes sense for your client's websites? For example, say my client is in cryotherapy. How would you determine which category I need to be targeting for them for rankings? Well, you can use Google's NLP. Let's see, Google Natural Language API. I've not done it this way because I have a tool that I use called On-Page AI that is integrated with the natural language API. So I can just go into On-Page AI and plug in a website and it will tell me exactly what Google's NLP categories are that Google has assigned to the content of that site. Does that make sense? So there's no question. I never have any doubt anymore about what type of topical categories I need to be producing content in, and then also finding links in that relevant category. I don't have to worry about that anymore. There's no guesswork. I just go down. I think you can do it directly from here, right there. Yeah, you can test it right there. So go do cloud.google.com/natural-language, or just go search Google Natural Language API. And you'll click through and you can try it for free. You can just paste your content into here and say analyze, and it will tell you what the topical categories are of that content, Google's topical categories. And then you could try to match that up when you're producing content, as well as, link sources. You want to try to get links from topical categories that are either the same or closely related topical categories. And just to demonstrate what I'm talking about, guys, are you guys not seeing my screen? Oh, you're not. Son of a bitch.
Nope.
Sorry. I'm so used to this always being a screen share. I just wasn't sharing my screen. Chris, you should have said something to me. Sorry. Google Natural Language API, I did not spell that properly. But once you search Google Natural Language API, it's the first one that comes up. So you click through to that. This is what I was talking about. You can test with this for free, paste some content in there, click analyze. It will tell you, it does a whole bunch of entity analysis and all this other stuff. But really what you want to find out is what are the primary topical categories that Google has determined or assigned to that content. But what I was going to show you was, if I show you On-Page AI, this is the tool that I use all the time. I've actually got 2 subscriptions to this, but we'll go in here and I'll just give you an example. See if with the question had, you said cryotherapy. Well, let's just go find a cryotherapy site. I'm sure I spelled that wrong. Cryotherapy right there. Let's try that again. Let's just click through to one of these. Harrisonburg. Okay. Interesting. I'm just going to take that right there, copy that URL. Not a lot of content on this page, and there's some images I don't want to look at. So anyways, in the on-page tool, I'm going to come over here. I'm going to say predictive link building, and I'm going to paste that in. And I'm going to say, I'm going to look at the domain, which is going to, what this does is it actually is going to, this submits this URL to Google's natural language API. Okay. And then it's going to analyze both the URL and the topical categories of the entire domain. And it's going to give me the topical categories that it has found. So it takes a minute or so because it's actually sending this over to the API. It's waiting for Google to return the results because the Google bot has to scan the content, then classify the categories, and then it's going to come back. And here we go. Right there. Those are the topical categories. Again, there's no guesswork, guys. Beauty and fitness, top level category. Beauty and fitness cosmetic procedures is a more specific subcategory. Health conditions, health medical facilities and services, and health medical facilities and services medical procedures. Those are the topical categories that are appropriate for a cryotherapy site. Does that make sense? And again, that's why this tool is expensive, guys. There's no question, but it's fabulous. This is probably my favorite SEO tool right now, and it has been for the last couple of months. We lean on this really heavily because, again, my entire link building business is based on topical relevance, and that's what this app On-Page AI is like. It's what it's all about, topical relevance. It's a great tool. In fact, I've said this before, but I got the idea for semantic links from when I was on the webinar, the launch webinar for this tool right here, which is about a year ago now. Seriously. That's when I got the idea for semantic links, was because of the webinar, the launch webinar for this tool. I was like, man, with this tool, I can go out and find topical categories and then build links entirely around those specific topical categories. And I built a link building business around this method right here that I just described. So There you go. Anyway, I think you can do that free if you go to Google directly and do it here. It's not certainly as easy, but I think you can do it up to a certain amount until they start charging you for usage, which is part of the reason why on-page costs so much, is because of the usage, API usage. Anyway, moving on. Trying to close some of these things. Next question is from George. He says, you guys are seeing my screen. I don't need to show that. That's boring to look at. Hey, Bradley, I hope everyone had a good Christmas. Great Christmas, excuse me. I've had a GBP for my agency located at a certain address. I've just moved to a new location. I'm wondering how to handle changing the address on my GBP. Are there any specific things I should be aware of? Any worries? Also, I purchased some citations from my agency and had them linked to my website. I then saw on Hump Day Hangouts where you said to link citations to your GBP site instead of your website. Should I change the link in each of those citations to point to my GBP site? Okay, so there's a few questions here. Let's start with the first one. You said that you were asking about how to change your address. Is there any worries? The only worry is that it may trigger re-verification. It likely will. But if you're moving to another valid, like if it's a real move and it's a real business, then you should be able to re-verify. So that shouldn't be an issue. Just be aware that's likely going to happen. Okay. It may trigger a suspension, but remember, again, if it's a real business with a real location that you're moving to, you should be able to get it unsuspended or reinstated by just going through the normal channels to get that done. You just have to be able to verify that it's a real business in that location. That's it. So again, either re-verification or suspension, it's likely that one of those are going to happen. Just be aware of that. Just go through the motions to get it re-verified or reinstated if it's suspended. Okay. That's kind of normal. It's just the process that you have to go through. It sucks, but it is what it is. Other than that, the next question was citations. No, I think you misunderstood what I said. So perhaps I wasn't very clear when I described what I said, but what I was talking about was Citation Vault. Citation Vault is a private blog network of sites that are supposed to push geo-relevance. Okay, it's a private blog. It's a network of sites, about 300 of them, that is like a private blog network, right? So they're sites that are on WordPress that you can add your business details to, and it builds citation-like pages on these WordPress sites that are all about geographic relevance. It's not, and when I say geo-relevance, it's at a topical level, not in a physical location level. Like, let me explain what I mean. I've talked about this entire year about link building for local projects. When dealing with ranking and organic search, topically relevant links matter. That's what matters. I don't give a shit about stupid traditional metrics that aren't based on, that are, like, so UR and DR, which is Ahrefs metrics, or PA and DA, Moz's metrics. Those are typically what every SEO always analyzes. I don't care about those. What I care about is topical relevance. If they also have those other traditional metrics, then great. I'll take that all day long. But I don't care about those other metrics by themselves. What I'm looking for is topical relevance. And then when you're trying to rank an organic search, topically relevant links are what matters. That's what's moving the needle. That's what's working right now. Okay. So, but when dealing with ranking in Google Maps for a local project, what has a greater influence on ranking in maps is geographic relevance, links with location or geographic relevance. What I mean by that is I don't meaning getting links from other businesses, other entities that are in close proximity in physical location to the business. Do you understand what I mean? So like getting a link from, let's say it's a tree service contractor here in Culpeper, Virginia, which is where I'm located, and they go remove a tree in the parking lot of a attorney office in Culpeper. And the attorney office does a quick blog post to thank the Bradley's Tree Service for removing a tree from their parking lot. Okay. And they link to my tree service site in Culpeper. That is a geographically relevant or locally relevant link. You understand? It's not topically relevant. It's coming from a attorney's website linking to a tree service site. So the topical relevance isn't there. Likely the topical trust flow category from the attorney site is going to be society/law. And it's going to be linking to a tree service site, which is likely going to be business, construction and maintenance, topical category, or business, agriculture and forestry, or home/gardening. One of those three or all three, combination of the three. Does that make sense? So there's a no topical relevance match there, but there's geographic relevance because it's coming from an entity, a business, a local entity that is in close proximity and physical location to the tree service site that it's linking to. Does that make sense? So that link has a greater effect on maps ranking than the topically relevant links do. Topically relevant links have a greater effect on organic ranking. So it's good to get a combination of both. Does that make sense? But what I'm talking about with Citation Vault is you can go look it up, citationvault.com. You can see what I'm talking about. That is a private blog network of sites, WordPress sites that build like citation-like posts or pages that are about pushing geographic relevance on a topical level. What is the distinction between geographically relevant links and geographic relevance on a topical level? The difference between those are pushing geo-relevance on a topical level because those sites are coming, those Citation Vault pages are on sites that are not in close proximity physically to the business that it's linking to. But it does push, the pages are all about bringing in points of interest and driving directions and all of that so that you're pushing geographic relevance on a topical level. Again, I hope that makes sense. The difference between a link that provides geographic relevance is one that is coming from an entity that's in close proximity and physical location to its target. But pushing geo-relevance on a topical level is about geographic relevance to a particular area, but it's not physically located there. I don't know if that's clear or not. That's how I delineate that in my own mind. And what I'm saying is Citation Vault citations, it's a topical level. There's no topical relevance, but it's pushing geo-relevance at a topical level because they're not actually physically located in close proximity to what they're linking to. At least it's very, very unlikely. So all of that is to say, I don't like pointing Citation Vault links directly to the money site. Now, regular business directories, regular citations, by all means, whatever your name, address, and phone number is, according to your Google business profile, that's how you want to submit the data to the regular business directories. But for Citation Vault, Google is completely aware of that, guys. If anybody thinks that Google isn't aware of Citation Vault, you're sadly mistaken, okay? But it's powerful if pointed in the right place. I don't want to point those to my money site because there's no topical relevance and it's not really geographically relevant links, but you can push geo-relevance at a topical level into the Google business assets by linking to either the Google business website or the Google Map share URL, which is what I use Citation Vault for. Not to the money site, but for regular business directory listings, regular traditional citations, structured citations, I'm going to link to whatever the Google business profile website URL is, which is generally going to be a self-hosted website. Hopefully I cleared that up. Anyway, should I change the link to each of those citations to point my GBP site? No, not if they're traditional citations, leave them be. And also, do I change the old address to the new address or just get new citations? No, change the old ones, guys. Diluting bad data does not help. What I mean by that is NAP inconsistencies will cause problems for your ability to rank in maps. So always, always, always go edit existing citations to have them updated to the correct information instead of just creating new ones. Because if you create new ones, now you're causing ambiguation, right? You're ambiguating the local entity because Google now has different pieces of data out there on the web and it's saying, okay, which is correct? So don't do that. The smartest thing you can do is to go in and manually up either you or hire another service to do it. Bright Local has a function for that. My favorite citation cleanup service is by Loganix. Semanticmastery.com/Loganix, Loganix is that's our affiliate link. But Loganix has a citation cleanup service. It's like $500 or $600. It's expensive, but it's the most thorough. And it's about a 10 to 12 week process. And they have about a 70% success rate in updating all existing citations and removing duplicates and all of that. It's a great service. Every time I have a project that I got to work on where they have NAP inconsistencies or they've moved locations, I just go straight to Loganix and have them handle it. Okay. Okay. We got about 10 more minutes. Also, I heard you talking on last week's Something Hangout about some GBPs not having access to the business site. I had the same problem. No manage button for the site. When I clicked on the pencil icon, I had my WordPress site entered into the website field. I'm not sure what that is. I found by taking my WordPress site out of the GBP website field and then hitting save, that while the website field was empty, that created the site button. The create a site button appeared. Oh, fantastic. George, if you're listening to this, I want you to contact support@semanticmastery.com, and we're going to send you a t-shirt or something. Okay. Just say you provide an answer right here to questions that we've had in our mastermind, as well as just today on the Hump Day Hangout. We've had a couple of questions specifically about that. If that is, I'm going to have to test that. But what you're saying is, if you go in to edit the Google Business Pro, let me just demonstrate this, guys. I'm going to grab the screen. That's fantastic. And by the way, seriously, George, contact support@semanticmastery.com, send in a support ticket, and we're going to send you a t-shirt or something. Okay. If this works, because that's fabulous. I'm going to grab the screen and I'm just going to demonstrate what I think he just described. So I'm just going to go to just pull up my, I think what you're saying is if we go in here, click on the edit profile, and we scroll down to the website section, and this is not present, as we just talked about it earlier on Hump Day Hangouts. And I was talking to one of my link building clients, actually, who just got a new client, because remember, I'm a white label link building. So he got a new client and he submits it to me to do the link building. And he asked me specifically, hey, I know how to get to and edit an existing Google Business website, but I've just took over a new Google Business project and it does not have that in the, it's not there. How do we create it? And I said, fortunately, I don't know how to create it right now. And I don't. We had this discussion in our mastermind as well. So I've just been telling people, I guess you can't create it right now. But what he's saying is you go in and you clear this out and then hit save. And then I guess, I don't know if you have to refresh or what, but you come back and then all of a sudden this is now available. If that's what you're saying, then that's fabulous. That's the workaround. So I will have to test that. I have to test it on another Google Business profile where that doesn't exist and see if I can get that to work. But if so, hey guys, at least now you've heard of a way to do it. I've not tested it to confirm it, but George, I appreciate that. We will test and I will find out and report back here on Hump Day Hangout when I know. But that seems like it's reasonable. Go in, clear that if this does not already exist, click save, then come back to edit again, and this may be available. That seems like it seems logical that would be a good workaround. So anyway, thank you for that. I've not tested it yet, but I will. Side note, I've not tried to replace the GBP website with my WordPress site in the website field yet to see if the manage button appears. I wanted to at least make a few posts to the GBP before I start messing with it. I hope that helps some people out that have been struggling with the issue. Yeah, again, I appreciate that very much. I will have to test with that, but certainly contact us at support and we'll reward you for that. I appreciate you sharing that. Next one, Bradley, your favorite avatar here again, James. Yeah, we've got a persona with that exact same name. What do you make of expired domains with a trust flow that's higher than citation flow? I recently bought an expired domain with a trust flow 17 and citation flow of 6. I typically see the other way around with citation flow much higher. The domain looked clean on archive.org and a few live backlinks look clean too. Anything to be wary of here? Your thoughts? Great question, James. And actually, anytime you can find a domain with trust flow higher than citation flow, that is a good, clean domain, as long as it's in the appropriate topical category. What I'm saying is the reason why you generally see citation flow higher than trust flow is because citation flow is a measure of link quantity. Trust flow is a measure of link quality. Do you understand the difference? So generally, most domains you're going to analyze are going to have higher citation value because they got a lot of shitty links. Do you understand? They've got a lot of low quality links. So citation flow is typically higher than trust flow. I generally try not to buy any domains that have citation flow with 2 times the amount of the trust flow. Like, in other words, if trust flow is 15 and citation flow is anything greater than 30, I generally don't like to buy it because it generally means that the domain has been spammed with shitty backlinks. A high quantity of low quality backlinks. Do you understand? So if you can get a domain that has higher trust flow than citation flow, that means it has a low quantity of backlinks, and those backlinks that it does have are of high quality. Do you understand? So that's why I'm saying if it's in the appropriate topical category and it has higher trust flow than citation flow, then that is a good domain. Pick it up. And you're right, that's not normal. You generally are going to see higher citation flow than trust flow, and that's because most domains have a lot of shitty links. That's just it's the reality. Almost out of time, guys. Happy holidays, gents. Question a way back. Bradley mentioned, this is from Nigel. Bradley mentioned an effective Pinterest spam gig and a Wiki Page gig that had some potential for sticking. Any feedback on that would be appreciated. I don't know about Pinterest spam. I did talk about blog comment spam, if that's what you're talking about. That was on Fiverr. I never point that shit at your money site, guys, or anything that's going to have do follow links to your money site. Don't do this kind of thing. But like I talk about this often, but patch.com, patch classified announcement posts. You can rank patch.com posts, classified announcement posts, which are similar to press releases, but anyways, they're free. You can rank those very, very quickly using a Fiverr gig. Well, if you optimize it properly, the post, and then you can hammer it with this gig that I always talk about. Let me stand by for a second, guys. Let me get logged in here. Got it. All right, sweet. So I'll show you, it's called up right here. It's right here on my favorites or whatever. This one right here, the provider's name on Fiverr is, so fiverr.com/up2top.com, right? So, or excuse me, if I'm just going to copy his profile URL and put this in chat. Stand by. I'm probably gonna have to pause it. Yeah. I'm going to put this in chat, guys. But again, just go to fiverr.com and go fiverr.com/up2top. And you'll see his profile. And it's this blog comment spam gig right here. I always order the extra, which is 60,000 blog comments in total. So it comes out to be $15. And that's what I will point to a patch classified announcement post. You can also do this with like Blogger. You can do a well-optimized Blogger post, but don't link to your money site. Just rank the Blogger post is what I'm saying, because a Blogger has a do follow link, or you could put no follow links in the Blogger post to your money site. And then you can spam, but I don't do this on branded blogs, guys. I only do this on external sites, like non-branded stuff. So patch.com would be an example, or like an external blog, Blogger blog, not the main money, branded Blogger blog, if that makes sense. But then again, you just hit that with these, and this is a great gig for that. I mean, I don't know why it works so well, but it does. And it only for stuff like Patch or Blogger or Weebly, Strikingly, I think it's called. The subdomain is MyStrikingly, but there's a few different sites right now that are ranking well. I'll be covering some of this during the live stream stuff that I'm going to be doing next month for the Ranking stuff, because we're going to be ranking a lot of Web 2.0 type of sites. So this will be one that I'll demonstrate at that time. The other one was Wiki data page on Legit. There's a provider there that is good because, oh shit, sorry. Let me go back to right there. I've got him saved in here somewhere, but let me just pull this up. Wiki data. Supreme SEO. This is it right here. Yep, this guy here. He's good. I bought a few of them from him, and I even had one of them suspended because, by the way, Wikidata, if you try to submit your own Wikidata page, guys, it's going to get moderated out. I've tried probably 8 times over the last 5 years, and every single time I've ever tried to create a page, it always gets moderated out. It's heavily moderated. So I don't even bother anymore. But I've used this guy here a few times, and I've even had the Wikidata pages get moderated out, and I've contacted him and said, hey man, is there any chance you can, publish another page? And he's done it. So this guy right here is good. Supreme SEO on legit.com, LEGIIT.com, Supreme SEO. Get your company listed on a wikidata.org. This guy right here, again, I've ordered from him a few times. It's been a while since the last time I did it, but anyways, it's a good service. I would check it out. And like I said, he's replaced some of the pages that I've had moderated out. I've got one for one of my tree service sites that's still live today. And it's been live this entire year. So this guy here. Okay, guys, got just 2 more. I'm going to wrap, and we got to wrap it up. I'm leaving in just a few minutes to head out of town for 4 fucking days. And I can't wait. Next one is best way to get Web 2.0s like Tumblr, Medium, and Blogger and other social media posts indexed so Google sees them. Well, you can submit them to Search Console, if that's, or just submit to indexers. But if you're not doing a lot of spammy things with them, then why not submit them to Search Console? Tumblr, Medium, Blogger, right? There's a way to submit all of those to Search Console, and then you can, Search Console will index. It will index a lot better when it's part of Search Console, if that makes sense. But other than that, right now, Omega Indexer is working really well. You can see these are my speed-links.net is another one that I use. Index Me Now, but I only do that for like my link building clients for like custom rebuilds and stuff, because it's very expensive. Index Me Now is very expensive, but it's good. But like Omega Indexer and speed-links.net, those two are two that I use for kind of higher, like more linked indexing stuff, if that makes sense. But again, with what you just mentioned, you can just submit those types of blogs to Search Console, and that definitely helps. All right, Jessica says, what is the name of the real estate guy who markets well that you mentioned a few weeks ago? I think, Jessica, what you're talking about was Jack Bosch from Land Profit Generator. Jack Bosch, I think that's what you're talking about. I was mentioning I used to flip land for about 2 years as a kind of a side hustle. Jack Bosch right there, land invested, this guy here, and he's got Land Profit Generator right there. That's a great, if you want to learn how to flip vacant land. Another guy, God damn it, what's his name? I'm trying to think of his name. There's another guy that Joe McCall. That's another guy that's got some good real estate training. He does more houses and stuff, but he's a marketer that does, I think it's Joe McCall. That guy right there, Joe McCall. He's a marketer that does more houses than vacant land stuff. But he's really good. Like most real estate investors they call themselves real estate investors when really you're in the real estate marketing business. If you're wholesaling or flipping properties, you're not really an investor. You're an investor if you buy and hold. But if you're flipping properties, you're not really an investor. You're a marketer. That's what you're doing. So you're running a real estate marketing business, not a real estate acquisition business. Does that make sense? Or a real estate investment business. Unless you're buying and holding properties, then you're not really an investor. You're a marketer. Does that make sense? So, and Joe always was very clear about that. And he's always, he talks about, he calls himself a real estate marketer, but he has a great business, big business for flipping properties. And like I said, he mainly does houses, but Jack Bosch does vacant land. And it's a great training course, great program. I bought that. I paid $1,500 for this program in 2019. And within my first 30 days, I made $16,000. I'm not kidding, from flipping vacant land. My first 30 days. So I was like, hell yeah, it's a great business. It really is. I only got out of it because I felt like I was taking too much time away from SEO, and got a lot of obligations with my partners and our members and all of that. So anyway, okay, that was it. I think that was it. Any last questions in here?
Yeah, tons on the chat.
Oh, shit.
But yeah, like I don't think we gotta cover them all.
All right, well, I'm going to roll through these very quickly. Nigel says, just curious, any particular reason why Twitch versus live stream on YouTube? Yeah, because I don't want to muddy up our YouTube channel with raw live stream footage. So the raw live stream footage will be on Twitch. Then we take that raw footage and send it to a video editor who condenses it down into shorter form content, and that shorter form content will go on our YouTube channel. That's why. OC says, hey gang, quick, somewhat SEO related question. I've been trying to come up with a brand name for a website, but most names are either taken by domain or have an LLC or other register. Any tips on what to avoid when selecting a brand? How close can my name be to an already taken name? Okay, OC, that is a great question, but you want to try to establish some sort of a unique name. You can always go with a name that's common or similar to other names, but that creates entity ambiguation that you have to overcome, right? If you have a name that's similar to other company names out there, then you're already at a disadvantage because you have to create a distinction, right? You have to force the Google algorithm to understand that it is a distinct and unique entity. And you're going to be fighting that for some period of time. You can overcome it. There's no question you can overcome it, but it takes additional work. So that's why I do a ton of audits now for local Fury clients and some semantic links clients. And there are a lot of really poor business name choices out there. poor choices of company names that make it incredibly difficult to do SEO because they're ambiguated or they're generic. Like a lot of lead gen stuff is just stupid keywords is what they call the Google business profile. They named it after like city keyword or keyword city. And that makes it damn near impossible to establish it as a unique entity. Right. And so it's very difficult to do that. So what I'm recommending is that you try to find some sort of a unique name, or at least part of the company name is unique enough to where it can be established as an entity very, very quickly. Do you understand? That makes everything so much easier. When you can get Google to recognize something which is unique as an entity, now it becomes so much easier to do all the other SEO work. Does that make sense? Because otherwise you have to overcome entity ambiguation before you can start to really get any results. And that takes time and a lot of effort. Okay. Some names are only for companies in a certain town or state. I want to do a nationwide brand. Yeah. I mean, you still have to, again, still try to find something unique is the best thing I can say. Really, that's the easiest thing to do. There's another thing you could do is to check, go to Calicube Pro. I don't know if you can do this for free. I have a paid account, Calicube with a K.pro. We have Semantic Mastery. We have a paid account for this. So I don't know if you can do this with the free tools that they have up here, but you could look for the Knowledge Graph Explorer right here. You can type in, so this is at Calicube with a K.pro, Calicube.pro. Go to the Knowledge Graph Explorer and start typing in or pasting in the names that you're considering and click go. And this will show you if Google has an entity, a machine ID already associated with those names. If not, if you paste in a name here and you click go and it does not bring up a machine ID, a knowledge graph ID, then you know that it's a name that you can establish as an entity very quickly because it doesn't already exist. Do you understand? So the Knowledge Graph Explorer at Calicube.pro would probably be a great way to do your research to determine if you found a name that's unique enough that it doesn't have already existing entities out there associated with it. And then that's what I would run with. Okay, because it's going to make your life a lot easier. We're going way over again as usual. Hey, Bradley and Chris, I hope all is well. How do you determine the amount of keywords for brand plus location, brand plus services to run for CTR 30 days using keywords everywhere for the other local keywords? There's a number of ways to do that, but honestly, there's no kind of formula for that, guys. And we're already way over, so I apologize. I'm not going to be able to get to that question, but what I would recommend is go into Google Analytics or excuse me, Search Console or Google Business Insights or both and look at Search Console, look at the queries and the kind of volume, the impressions. So set it to 28 days in Search Console and then look at the queries. Go to the search query report, sort by impressions. And now you know exactly how many each one of those queries have gotten in impressions in the last 28 days. And then you determine what kind of click-through rate you're going to do based upon where your current position is. If you're on page 2, you're not going to get 10% of whatever the overall search volume is for that keyword because you're on page 2. Nobody goes to page 2. So you're not going to get 10% of the overall click volume. So it depends. But what we teach, and you can also do that in Google Business Insights if you look at the search query report. That's going to show you the queries that triggered an impression for the Google Maps profile, the Google Business profile. Does that make sense? The difference between Search Console, which is organic, Google Business Insights, which is maps. Those are the two differences, but you can look at the search query reports in either one of those and get volume metrics as to how many impressions it received. Then depending on where your positioning is how you start to determine how many click-throughs you're going to assign. And you would increase that as your positioning improves. Do you understand? But the easiest way, the best thing to do, in my opinion, is to start pushing on brand terms first and variations of the brand name if there are variations of the brand name. So go in and again, look at the search console data, search query report, and you'll see brand searches in there. You should, if people are searching by brand. And if not, that's where you start. You start by manipulating click-through signals on the brand name. That's how you start to force Google to recognize that brand as a somewhat of a local authority, right? Again, always start with brand signals. Once you start pushing on brand signals, then you can start to integrate keyword search and clicks. But do it slowly. Ramp it up slowly over time. So otherwise, it's an unnatural signal and Google will ignore those click-through signals. Okay, Google's getting way better at that stuff, guys, because of all the apps that are proliferating on the web right now for click-through rate stuff. Does that make sense? You got to try to be smarter than everyone else. And that's just, again, start pushing on brand signals first. And also go into some of the groups, the CTR groups, and you can ask questions in there. And there's other people there that will provide a little bit more assistance. OC says, thanks. Appreciate the overtime. Great. Happy New Year celebration. Sweet. Nigel says, God bless and thank you all. See you in 2023. And Andrew says, there are a lot of guys doing GMBs for rank and rent and still getting them. Is you fear they will be shut down? Yeah, that's part of it, Andrew. Part of it is I don't like doing work that the rug can be pulled out from underneath me at a later time. I hate that. I hate putting time and effort into something and money into something that then just disappears. And the problem with rank and rent GMBs right now is it's getting harder and harder to verify them, number one. Number two, they're becoming easier and easier to lose, to get suspended. I don't want to build a business on a foundation of sand, right? Like I want it to be bedrock. I want it to be a solid foundation so that I know it's a stable business, something that if I'm going to put time, effort, and money into, it's going to still be there 6 months, a year, 5 years down the road. And so the way that I'm going to be teaching is build organic assets, and you can use pay-per-click as well to monetize rank and rent or pay-per-lead assets. And then you back into optimizing the Google business profile for the business that is either buying the leads or renting the assets from you, because they're a real valid business that can have a real valid Google business profile that can be verified or re-verified if needed. So do a hybrid model, rank and rent or PPC assets, monetize those. And then once you have the business that's buying or renting buying the leads or renting the assets from you, then you can always upsell them on doing traditional retainer-based Google business SEO services for their Google business profile. So you're getting paid two ways. Does that make sense? And you don't have to worry about any of the Google business stuff being suspended because it's a real valid business location. Even if something did happen to it, you could re-verify it, get it reinstated if needed. So I'd rather do that. And again, if other people are doing it, by all means, that's great. But when everything gets taken from them by Google, because it's getting harder and harder, what are they left with? Nothing. I would rather have my organic assets and pay and do retainer-based SEO for my clients on their Google business assets. So where I've got a level of control because of the organic assets, but I also am getting additional money by helping them to rank their assets. So hopefully that makes sense. Okay, guys. Hey, everybody, have a happy and safe New Year holiday. We will see you guys in 2023. Will be a good year next year. Thanks, Chris, for sticking around.
Definitely.
All right, guys.